There was a time when buying a Mercedes-Benz meant far more than owning a luxury car. It meant you were stepping into a machine engineered with one clear purpose: to last as long as mechanically possible. Long before touchscreens, turbo downsizing, and cost-cutting became industry standards, Mercedes engineers worked under a different philosophy. These cars were not designed around quarterly profits or warranty periods. They were designed around decades of use, real-world abuse, and the expectation that they would still be running long after newer cars had already disappeared from the road. This was the era when weight was not seen as a problem, complexity was avoided unless it improved durability, and every component was built with a margin of strength that bordered on obsession. The result was a generation of Mercedes models that earned a reputation not through marketing but through survival. Taxis, family cars, executive sedans, and even luxury flagships all shared one thing in common: they refused to die. In this video, we're counting down 7 classic Mercedes-Benz models that represent the peak of that philosophy. Cars built in a time when engineering came first and longevity was not an accident, but the goal. If there is one car that perfectly defines what people mean when they say they don't make them like they used to, it's the Mercedes-Benz W123. This wasn't just another sedan in the lineup, it was a statement of intent. Introduced in the mid-1970s, the W123 was engineered at a time when Mercedes treated durability as a non-negotiable requirement, not a marketing bonus. Everything about this car was designed to endure daily abuse, harsh climates, poor roads, and decades of continuous use. The steel was thick, the suspension was deliberately overbuilt, and the interior materials were chosen not for style trends, but for resistance to time. Under the hood, especially in the diesel versions, lived engines that became legends in their own right. The OM617 diesel didn't care about speed or excitement, it cared about running forever. These cars became taxis across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, not because they were cheap, but because they simply refused to break. Even today, decades later, countless W123S are still on the road, starting every morning, doing exactly what they were built to do. The W123 wasn't designed to impress reviewers or win awards. It was designed to survive. And that's exactly why it became one of the most durable cars Mercedes-Benz ever built. If the W123 proved that Mercedes could build cars to survive the real world, the W124 proved that they could perfect that formula. Produced between 1984 and 1997, the W124 was developed during what many consider the golden age of Mercedes-Benz engineering, a period when durability, precision, and long-term reliability mattered more than cost control. This car was not just solid, it felt indestructible in a way that modern vehicles rarely do. From the moment you closed the door, everything communicated permanence. The body structure was heavily reinforced, corrosion protection was taken seriously, and the suspension was engineered to absorb years of abuse without losing composure. Under the hood, Mercedes offered a wide range of engines, but the reputation of the W124 was built largely on its inline-six and diesel power plants. Engines like the OM603 and later the OM606 diesel became famous for running hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of miles with basic maintenance. These cars dominated taxi fleets around the world, not because they were comfortable alone, but because they combined comfort with mechanical honesty. Even today, nearly 3 decades after production ended, the W124 remains a benchmark for how long a well-engineered sedan can truly last. It wasn't designed to be replaced, it was designed to be maintained. And that philosophy is exactly why so many of them are still alive. Produced between 1979 and 1991, The Mercedes-Benz S-Class W126 is widely regarded as one of the most over-engineered luxury sedans ever made. This was a car developed during a time of global uncertainty, oil crises, and economic pressure. Yet Mercedes chose to respond by building something stronger, quieter, and more durable than anything before it. The W126 was not designed to chase trends or impress in showrooms. It was engineered to be the safest, most refined, and most resilient flagship sedan in the world. Engineers spent years obsessing over aerodynamics, corrosion resistance, structural integrity, and long-term reliability. Under the hood, the W126 offered engines that prioritized smoothness and longevity over raw performance. Inline-six engines like the M103 and V8s, such as the M117 and later the M119, were built to operate under low stress, allowing them to run for decades with proper care. But what truly set the W126 apart was how it balanced luxury with mechanical discipline. It introduced advanced safety features for its time, including ABS and early airbags, while still relying on proven mechanical systems rather than fragile electronics. The result was a car trusted by world leaders, executives, and professional drivers alike, not because it was flashy, but because it worked, year after year, mile after mile. Even today, the W126 stands as proof that true luxury is not about features, but about engineering that refuses to age. Now, in 991 and 1998, the Mercedes-Benz S-Class W140 represents the moment when engineering ambition completely overpowered financial logic. This car was born at the very end of Mercedes-Benz's no-compromise era, when engineers were given the freedom to build the best possible S-Class without worrying about cost, weight, or complexity. Development took years and consumed enormous resources, all in the pursuit of absolute refinement and durability. The result was a car that felt less like a sedan and more like a moving fortress. Everything about the W140 was oversized, overbuilt, and deliberately engineered to reduce stress on its components. The doors were so heavy they required vacuum-assisted closing systems. The insulation was so thick that outside noise practically disappeared. And even small details like mirror mechanisms and wiring were redesigned to last longer than necessary. Under the hood, the W140 offered some of the most durable engines Mercedes ever produced, ranging from smooth inline-six units to massive V8s and the legendary V12, all tuned for longevity rather than aggression. This was not a car built to be efficient or trendy. It was built for buyers who believed that the best car is the one you never have to replace. Even today, decades later, the W140 remains a symbol of excess engineering and a reminder of what happens when durability is treated as a mission rather than a cost. Produced between 1989 and 2001, the Mercedes-Benz SLR 129 is proof that durability and luxury were once treated as inseparable concepts. This was not a roadster built to chase fashion or weekend thrills. It was engineered as a long-term investment in mechanical excellence. Development of the R129 took more than a decade, and it shows in every detail. The chassis was massively reinforced, safety systems were far ahead of their time, and the car was designed to feel solid even after years of use, something rare for a convertible. The fully automatic hydraulic soft top, the integrated rollover protection system, and the obsessive focus on structural rigidity all reflected a mindset where failure was simply not acceptable. Under the hood, Mercedes offered a lineup of engines that prioritized smoothness, low stress, and longevity. Inline-six engines delivered effortless reliability, while the V8 options, especially the naturally aspirated units of the era, became known for running hundreds of thousands of miles without drama. The suspension setup balanced comfort and control in a way that modern sports cars still struggle to replicate, allowing the R129 to glide over bad roads while remaining composed at speed. This was a car built in a time when Mercedes didn't ask how much engineering was enough, but how much was possible. Even decades later, the R129 continues to feel substantial, deliberate, and timeless, a reminder that true luxury isn't about lightness or minimalism, but about confidence built into every component. Let's talk about the next. In 1968 and 1976, the Mercedes-Benz W114 is where the foundation of Mercedes' durability truly began. Long before the brand became synonymous with luxury technology, the W114 was engineered with a singular focus on mechanical integrity and long-term reliability. This was a car built in an era when Mercedes wasn't trying to outpace competitors in features or performance, but to outlast them entirely. The structure was heavily reinforced, the suspension was designed for comfort without sacrificing control, and every mechanical component was engineered with generous tolerances to handle years of continuous use. One of the most important contributions of the W114 was the introduction and refinement of engines that would later become legendary for their durability. Both gasoline and diesel options emphasized smooth operation and low stress, laying the groundwork for Mercedes' reputation in commercial, executive, and long-distance use. Safety was also treated seriously, with innovations that were far ahead of what most manufacturers offered at the time. The W114 didn't rely on gimmicks or luxury excess. It relied on solid engineering and honest materials. Even today, more than 5 decades later, surviving examples of the W114 still feel mechanically sound, reminding us that this was the car that defined what "built to last" would mean for Mercedes-Benz going forward. Introduced in the early 1980s and built until 1993, the Mercedes-Benz 190 EW201 proves that durability was never reserved only for large or expensive models. This was Mercedes' compact sedan, but it was engineered with the same seriousness and discipline applied to its flagship cars. When the W201 was developed, Mercedes didn't ask how small or light they could make it. They asked how strong, stable, and long-lasting it needed to be. The result was a car that redefined what an entry-level luxury sedan could represent. The body structure was exceptionally rigid for its size, corrosion protection was taken seriously, and the suspension system was far more advanced than anything offered by competitors in the same segment. Under the hood, the W201 received engines designed for longevity rather than performance headlines. Both gasoline and diesel options were tuned to operate under low stress, making them famously reliable over long periods of ownership. This was also the car that proved Mercedes could scale down without compromising its core values. The 190E didn't rely on excess power or flashy features. It relied on balance, mechanical honesty, and engineering depth. Decades later, many W201S are still in daily use, a testament to the idea that true durability isn't about size or prestige, but about philosophy. With the 190E, Mercedes showed that even its smallest cars could be built to last a lifetime. Looking back at these 7 Mercedes-Benz models, it becomes clear that their reputation was never built on nostalgia alone. These cars came from a time when engineering was treated as a long-term responsibility, not a short-term expense. They were designed to be maintained, not replaced, and that philosophy is exactly why so many of them are still on the road today. More than luxury or performance, what truly defined these cars was durability with purpose. And while the automotive world has changed, these machines remain as rolling reminders of an era when building something to last was not optional, it was the standard.